how's practice been going?
Good. Yeah, I think it's been a really good week of practice, getting some guys back. We had Donovan out here today, which was awesome. But it's been really good.
Is he clear, or what is his status so far?
It's all day to day. Obviously depending on how today goes and feedback that the doctors and trainers give.
How much better are you with him getting out as a veteran player, the leadership, all those sorts of things, if he's able to get?
Yeah, the fact that he was our one guy before the season started with starting experience, and he's also 6'5", 340 pounds. That's helpful as well. I don't think there's any doubt you can't replace his talent, his ability, and his experience that he has. So having that back. Also, you just don't have as many moving parts now. Now guys can go back to the position they've had the most reps at.
James, Bill Belton said earlier today that he thinks there are probably some more plays being made in the running game that those guys, the running guys, can do a little bit better. Have you seen that, and what do you think those guys can do a little better as a position group to maybe hit those holes or hit those cuts?
I think that's really kind of across the board. There's plays to be made in the passing game. There's plays to be made in the running game. I love that Bill is focused on his area, which is pass protection and running the ball. I think sometimes we look for the extra cut. Sometimes it's a 3-yard run, and there's nothing wrong with a 3-yard run. But sometimes we try to turn the 3-yard run into a 9-yard run, and then we end up getting 1 yard instead of hammering it up in there and hitting it in there. I think things like that is what he's talking about, being decisive, being downhill, being more physical. And although Bill's a make-you-miss guy, you got to have that aspect to you as well, that you'll lower your shoulder and get a grind it out 3-yard run. So we got to do a better job of that. I think that's what he's talking about.
You had some visitors here tonight. You guys tweeted out a photo of some visitors you had, I think, Monday or Tuesday night. And this isn't the first week that's happened. Why is it so important for you guys to have community members here and things like that at practice?
Well, number one, we want to be a real positive part of this community. And when I say the community, that's the campus, that's the state college, and that's the state in general. So when we hear stories of people that I think have interesting stories or have a connection with Penn State or something that I think our guys can learn from, and then hopefully we can have a positive impact on them as well, then why not get together and support one another? So that's what we try to do. Obviously, you're trying to make sure these guys have a great academic experience. You're trying to make sure these guys have a great athletic experience. There's got to be a social component, although I wish sometimes there wasn't a social component. And then the fourth thing is you want to make sure that they're understanding about sacrificing and making a commitment to others and making a difference in other people's lives. So we try to hit all those things as much as we possibly can.
Hey James, you mentioned a neat number the other day, 14 true and redshirt freshmen playing for the first time. How do you balance getting them ready for the game but still learn the game, learn their skills, increase their skill set?
Yeah, that's the fine line, and I think that's kind of changed. In the old days, pretty much everybody redshirted. You allowed those guys to kind of marinate for a year and kind of take all these things in, and you just can't really afford to do that as much anymore. So, fortunately for most of our guys, they've been able to gradually grow as the season has gone on. They haven't had to be starters from day one. But really how we practice. We break it up, and we're pretty disciplined about that. No different than teachers, part, group, whole. Working the fundamentals and technique and making sure that those guys understand that. I think as the season goes on, you got to be disciplined with that as coaches. You got to be disciplined with that with players. The film work is important. But it's just a focus. It's a focus of ours. It's got to be a focus of theirs. Obviously, once the season's over, spring ball and things like that, you can take the next step. But right now, we just got to find a way to beat Temple.
You said a few weeks ago you scaled back some of the things in practice to reduce some wear and tear with the numbers. Have you scaled back any more these last couple of weeks, or is it pretty much where it had been?
Yeah, we look at the last 4 years and what we've done, and probably the last 20 years really of practice plans and things that make sense. Obviously, those things are magnified because of our situation, just lack of scholarships and depth and things like that. So it's new, but we've cut back more than we ever have. We'll gradually continue to do that. Either cutting periods out or cutting minutes out and things like that as this goes on.
You talked about changing between the directional punting and just punting straight from a
perspective of how you approach the coaching, how do you navigate between this is something that we believe in and we want to stick to this until they figure it out, and this is something we're going to change so we can get immediate results right now?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said. You know, this is our philosophy. We don't want to really cover 53 1/3. You know, we prefer to cover the outside 7 to 9 yards outside the numbers and narrow it down for the guys. But you got to look at kind of where you're at and the lack of experience that we have at punting, and the fact that they haven't been as consistent as we'd like them to be. Then you want to shift the focus. You want to shift and put the pressure on the coverage team away from those guys. And as they build confidence, then we'll go back to that. But it's a little bit of give and take. You know, we felt like we could do it early in the year because, to be honest with you, they had a great camp. But there's one thing doing it in camp and practice, and there's another thing to actually do it in the games. So it's just kind of getting a feel for kind of where you guys are at individually, where guys are at, you know, as a unit and collectively overall. So, you know, right now we want those guys to build some confidence and have some success, and then we'll gradually shift back to that.
Have you had to kind of approach these situations in different areas of the roster? It's obviously, punting's not the only thing that you've had issues with at times.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's what you're constantly trying to do. You're kind of, you know, looking at every area and where can you shift the focus, you know, to maybe take pressure off one area and reinforce another. You know, play to your strengths, do the things that are going to allow you to be successful on Saturday. Right now, obviously, we all know, doesn't need to be stated, that we're playing pretty good defense. So, you know, let's play a style, you know, of football on offense and special teams that is going to give us the best opportunity to win.
You said on the radio show that you might be able to get Ryan Kaiser with you on the sidelines this weekend. Is that still possible, or is it going to...
I don't think so. I think, you know, from what we're hearing, I think he's going to be out. We're pretty hopeful, and from what we're hearing, he should be out of the hospital. But I think it's probably me being overly aggressive, you know, trying to get him in the game on Saturday when he just got out of the hospital, maybe Friday.
James, what impresses you most about Temple's quarterback, PJ Walker, and what does the defense have to do to continue?
I think it's just his athleticism. You know, for the last 2 years, he's been a real playmaker for him. He's got a strong arm. He can make plays with his feet, and it's a headache. You know, as your defensive coordinator, you know, you stop the run and you feel good about that, and then you're able to get pressure on the quarterback and affect the passing game, and then he steps up in the pocket and runs for 30 yards. So it's one more thing that you got to kind of factor in, and it's difficult. You know, it's difficult enough to make people one-dimensional, whether it's run or pass. Now you have that other element you got to take away as well.
What have you learned from playing Barrett and Diamond and even Justin Holman all the way back to UCF about running quarterbacks, and what your defense does well against them to use against Temple this weekend?
Yeah, I think the point that you're making is you know, the fact the last couple of weeks we've played similar quarterbacks. You know, it's not like, you know, you've played one style offense, now you're playing a completely different. You know, we've had some success. We've had to be aware of that the last couple of weeks, so that's going to be helpful going into this week.
Wendy Lawrence, a guy who's seen an increased role with Donovan Smith out. If he's back this week, will he continue to see an increased role? Will Mangiero maybe play one of the guards? What's the plan there? What have you seen from Wendy this year?
That's kind of what we're looking at right now. Obviously, if Donovan's able to go, then what's the best 5 to get on the field? The other part of it is looking at Diefenbach. And how much is he going to be able to do this week, and what's realistic with that as well? So there's a lot of factors that go into it. I still think he's going to play and probably play a considerable amount. You know, it may be a few reps less than it has been in previous weeks.
How have you seen him kind of grow this year?
Yeah, I think he's got a chance to be a good player. You know, I think he needs to. He's still going to need some time in the weight room to get stronger. But he's a smart guy. He's a nifty guy. He kind of understands how to play with his strength and hide some of his weaknesses. But, you know, I think like a lot of guys, he's still got some areas to improve on. Center's a pretty big responsibility, you know, for a young guy. It's a pretty big responsibility in terms of calls and communication and getting everybody on the same page.
James, a lot of people in the Penn State community are really focused on their business with the NCAA and the emails. I wonder if that's something you monitor. Can you even think about that during the season, or do you have any comments on it?
Emails from Temple?
No.
Oh, yeah, Temple. Temple. That's above my pay grade. I'm focused on Temple. I wasn't aware of any emails from Temple to anybody.
Take a couple more.
I understand you got to ask.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, but I'm focused on Temple.
James, we play Diefenbach kind of by ear in terms of how many series you're willing to play him, or the doctor's going to put a...
No, I think we have the ability to play him the whole game. He's been cleared. He's been cleared for probably 3 weeks from that perspective. It's just, what is he ready to play? You know, what is he ready to play being off that much time? You know, that much time. You know, all those things kind of factor into it. You got to remember too, not only has he been off time from the mental aspect and the physical aspect of playing, but he hasn't lifted, he hasn't done a lot of things, you know, so you know, he's been cleared to go. It's just what's going to give him the best chance to be successful and what's going to give us the best chance to be successful. And those things kind of go hand in hand.
There's been a lot of focus on Kaiser for obvious reasons and good reasons. But has Winak been able to get back and do anything with the team, just at leadership perspective, that sort of thing?
Yeah, the difference is Winak's, you know, in the training room every single day. We see him. I go in there, give him a hug every single day, and pat him on his belly, and he's been great, and his attitude's been awesome. But Kaiser's not. You know, and you just feel that disconnect, which we're not used to kind of as a family. You know, we're used to seeing guys every single day and kind of interacting with them. So, you know, we got a bunch of guys that have gone through injuries, but they're in the building and they're in meetings and things like that. You can check on them and see how they're doing, look them in the eye and kind of interact. So, you know, that's probably the biggest difference.
I think you said yesterday that you and Matt Rule crossed paths at coaching clinics or camps or something like that. Have you guys ever discussed the challenges of, you know, of course, him trying to build the Temple program and what you went through at Vanderbilt trying to build that? I mean, have you guys ever...
No, we haven't had that much interaction. Our biggest interaction was the Pennsylvania State High School Coaches Association, you know, that we have here. Yeah, that, you know, all the coaches are kind of here right off campus, not, I guess, on campus. That's really it. I mean, I haven't had that type of interaction. And to be honest with you, with us kind of being on each other's schedule, it's not like you're going to share a whole lot of secrets with one another.
No emails?
No, no emails.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, you guys are fired up tonight.
Did you say Friday for Kaiser as a possibility for
Yeah, I don't know all the specifics. I know we're hopeful that he'll be out, you know, by the end of the week. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.